Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Timothy here with Jank Diver Gaming. We are playing match one of our Roto Draft. We're actually against Chris, the co-founder of Jank Diver Gaming, kind of the creator of Jank Diver Gaming himself. Also has like a 5-0 lead on everybody right now. So let's go and take a look at what we're playing against. He has perhaps one of the scariest decks. He's on a blue-black tempo deck, and just you can tell by the way the curve looks. It's just a very succinct deck, right? Cuts off at 4, doesn't have a lot going on past that. He's going to be playing Thought Seizes, Thought Erasures to disrupt our hand. He's got removal, draw spells. It's kind of the works, right? Demir is very good, and we'll have to consult what he can do at any given point. I don't actually see a ton of counter magic, which is nice. There's a Spell Pierce that we got to watch out for. There's a Censor, which we can play around, and there's a Supreme Will, but he's not actually running like the 3-mana hard counters. His creatures are impactful, though. Hostage Tanker, whatever. This card, Rankle, Thief of Sanity. He's got a lot of ways to disrupt us. But again, we're not looking to necessarily attack. We just got to get our Blood Artists on board and hope that our recursion is good enough to get us through this. We'll look at the sideboard afterwards, but let's see what our opening hand is like. We have our black and red mana with the fetches, which is fine. So we're going to turn one Terramorphic for probably Swamp. We're on the draw here. He's probably going to Thoughtseize away our priest or something like that. Village Rites is okay against him. You're going to see a lot of swapping back and forth and consulting the deck list. Yeah, this hand's not amazing, but on the draw I'm going to keep it just because it has all my colors here. Ideally, I just draw a swamp and I can use Fabled Passage to go get my green mana or something like that for the Corvold if I draw it. But we're up against Chris here. We're going to play best of 3. And afterwards, I think we'll bring Chris on the line here, and hopefully we can hear him, and we're going to consult him about his deck. I think he's 5-0 right now. He's played 5 of the other opponents, and I think he played against the mono red deck, which is probably his worst matchup. He did take a mulligan into no 1-drop blue creature. Does he have an opt or something he can cast here? He has a Spectral Sailor, so we're probably going to get Spectral Sailor. There was a little pause there. I drew the Blood Crypt, but I'm still going to go Terramorphic here just to thin the deck a tiny little bit. And I expect we're going to see turn 1 Spirit Pirate. There it is. Let's get Mountain here. And then we'll probably go Plains into Priest, into Judith. Priest not looking great here. We don't have a way to accumulate bodies on board, but we'll see. So Thought Erasure, Warkite Marauder. Alright. Warkite Marauder. So he's off to a pretty aggressive start here. If he has like a Baron on turn 3, we can fall behind very quickly. Croaks is interesting, but I think I'd rather save Croxa until after the Judith turn. So I'm still going to go Priest here with just Plains and see what he does. I'm not going to consult deck list too much until, he has open mana and I have to interact with him, because what's the point? Judith is very good against the creatures he's put on board so far, though. Also, Croxa plus Village Rites is kind of nice. But we're hoping we can do these in the same turn to just ping off some of his 1 toughness creatures and have Judith kind of mop up a little bit. If we're under too much pressure, well, there goes the Thought Erasure. I assume he just has to take Judith here. Not really much of a contest there. And that does kind of disrupt the plan that I had. Surveils a card to the graveyard. Does he have anything else he can do with a blue mana? I don't believe so. No, so we know we're in the clear. He has Spell Pierce, potentially. Do we want to get Bastion Spell Pierce? That would be so bad if that did happen, but Bastion is quite good. I don't think he's going to be able to empty his hand before I can Croxa him, so we're going to wait on the Croxa. Do I play Plains here, or do I take the 2 for the Blood Crypt? Probably attacking with the Priest. I'm going to play Bastion. If he Spell Pierces, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. How important is it that I have the red mana this turn? It's not actually important, but Fabled Passage wants to get green if it can. So I think I am going to shock here. Play Bastion. I suppose I don't have to do that. That's silly. There's no point taking 2 extra damage. Alright, no Spell Pierce. No Spell Pierce. The 4-drops are the threatening things. Thankfully, if he has like Rankle here, I'm pretty well insulated against Rankle, I would say. And the Bastion should help me recover a little bit of the life that I'm losing here. Marauder, for those that don't know, when it attacks, it turns one of my creatures into a 0/1 with no abilities till end of turn, so putting a flyer in the way doesn't really block these. He did ditch a card, right? Yeah, he ditched a card with the Surveil, so he didn't want to draw his 4th land. Village Right's also a good card to have just in case they go for Hostage Taker, which I was just thinking about, but you know, if he priests me, that's not too big of a deal. I'm not, like, super worried about that. Okay, Perforos's Intervention, I think, was a good draw, because I can get my priest back, which matters quite a bit. I do have to do this for 2, but then I can keep up Village Rights. So I'm going to go Shock, shoot this for 4, keep up Village Rights, attack for 1. And just get my creature back before my opponent can get some extra value off of it. Let me tap manually for this. So X is 2, deals 4 here. Gets my priest back. And then next turn I could go like Kroxa plus activate priest. I'm going down to like 8 this turn, which isn't amazing. Okay, priest is gone. I suppose we will Village Rights that now. Into Mountain Corvold. Okay, Corvold's actually a pretty big game because it blocks the flyers. I don't really want to get rankled, but he can't rankle me. What can he do on 2 mana is the question. Blink of an Eye Censor. He didn't have Chart of Course, otherwise he would have cast that. Blink of an Eye and Censor are the 2 things we're really worried about here. I don't like the idea of going for Corvold this turn. I kind of like going Woe Strider plus Kroxa, and then next turn having like Corvold plus the Fabled Passage ready. So, how close am I to Kroxa? I can actually already Kroxa next turn too. So, this getting Forest is a little awkward because I won't have the 4 mana for Kroxa, but I still think we're going to get the Forest there. As far as this turn goes, I'm going to play... Oh, actually, we can make him pitch the last card first, right? Yeah, we might as well do that, in case it is Censor. It was Mu Yan Ling. Okay, let's go ahead and attack, play Woe Strider, and pass the turn. Kefnet would be one of the biggest problems here, although Corvold attacks through Kefnet quite fine. I guess Corvold actually doesn't... Ooh, that's super annoying. Alright, I'm going to take my 4. Do I sacrifice this goat? No. I'd rather not sacrifice to Scry, because I can just sacrifice that to Corvold and not really lose any value. Okay, something you did not cast. Censor's still something we have to play around here. I think I'm just going to cast Corvold. Could go for Kroxa too. Go for Kroxa this turn? Maybe I attack first. Is there anything he can flash in response? We can rule out any creatures. Supreme Will is... Supreme Will... Yeah. Supreme Will or a 4-drop feels like what he drew. Otherwise, why not cast it? So I suppose I can attack first. I am down to 6. This is going to go get Forest. It's a little awkward. I can't do the thing. Remember, he can take away flying from my creature here. I'm going to sacrifice the goat, gain a life back, draw a card. Reassembling Skeleton's pretty nice with Woe Strider here. Alright, So we can rule out Supreme Will. Didn't feel like Censor. Cyclone of Fetid Pools. Okay, that's a good sign for us. He's actually close to dead now that I think about it. So he can attack me for 4, draw a card. But I think he's actually dead on board if he doesn't play something here. I'm going to go for a sorcery speed bounce. Could be Baron. Baron would be quite good. Okay, he's passing. So I can afford to... No, I cannot. I think I just want to go for the reassembling skeleton plan because it keeps me alive in case something goes really wrong here. This is lethal. So I'm going to sack this token. This is going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I can sack Corvold. Gehenny as well. Okay, so he got a little mana screwed, but he did pitch the Swamp off Thought Erasure. He also took a mulligan for what it's worth. All right, picking up game 1 here is nice. Let's go ahead and look at Chris's sideboard, see what we've got going on. So we've got cheap interaction. I don't know that he'll bring in Silent Departure or Fatal Push. Brineborn Cutthroat, Seagate Stormcaller. Thieving Skydiver's not great against me. I don't think that's going to come in. Cast Down probably won't come in. The cheap removal might come in because he knows I have all these Blood Artists. I could see Exclusion Mage for sure. Confiscation Coup's probably coming in. Although with me having ways to sacrifice my creatures, trying to steal my stuff is not the best strategy. Voracious Great Shark's pretty good against me as well. I could see a lot of this top-end stuff coming in and him just playing a lot more of a control game than a tempo game. As for what I'm bringing in against him, this is the type of matchup where I think I like the Legion War Boss. I do like the Pillar Flame as well. Pillar Flame actually kills a pretty large number of his creatures. Mostly the little early game creatures and the early game flyers and stuff like that. It kills everything he plays on 1 and 2. It also takes out Thief of Sanity and Baron. So it takes out a lot of things while being pretty bad against some of the other creatures. And then I don't think I want anything else here. Untethered Express is good against most of his deck. I guess he can Hostage Taker it. Don't know that I want Untethered Express here. Kaya seems okay. If I'm bringing in War Boss, I got to take some stuff out, though. Chandra doesn't seem spectacular here on the draw. Call of the Death Dweller's probably fine. Hidden Stockpile is pretty unexciting. Angrath's Rampage is also not great against him. Although it could kill a Muyen Ling or something along those lines. I think I'm going to take out Angrath's Rampage. He just has enough small creatures that it's not going to matter that much. And we'll go ahead and run it like that for game 2. And Chris is still sideboarding, so let's just kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Yeah, it's just a ton of interaction. I think we got a little lucky that he didn't deploy some big game threat, but Corvold looked nice there, and we'll just see how it plays out. I think the thing that worries me the most is the hand disruption, right? The Thought Seized, Freebooter, Thought Erasure are all just excellent against me because my deck is the type of deck that needs multiple pieces working together, and if I lose like a sack outlet but I have all my sack fodder or something like that, then my deck really just goes downhill. I do expect Kroxa to be pretty good against him. It is kind of nice that Kroxa is just generally versatile against like Hostage Taker, Thief of Sanity, stuff like that. Confiscation Coup is very good against Kroxa, but these other ones, you know, if he gets a one-shot effect off of Kroxa and then puts it in my graveyard, I don't think that's actually that bad for me, so I'm not super worried about Kroxa on the opposite side of the board. Also, bouncing Kroxa is not particularly good. Disrupting his hand is good, though. I do gotta watch out for Curious Obsession, so bringing in the Pillar Flame feels even better that way. for that reason, just to not die to a stray 1-drop into Curious Obsession draw. I guess if I had to predict what he'd bring in, Cast Down. He's probably looking at my deck list right now as well. Oh, we're up. We're up. Okay. I'm on the play. I've got pretty much perfect mana into like Blood Artist, Legion Warboss. Again, I assume with his deck being the way it is that I should expect one of these cards to be gone by the time it gets to the turn I can cast it, but I'm going to keep this and see what he starts off with. We're starting off with Swamp, no Thoughtseize. I like it. Let's get this Concealed Courtyard down and pass it back. And see if we've got the turn 2 Thought Erasure. If nothing happens to me on turn 2, I'll probably just run out Blood Artist, and if it gets countered, it gets countered. Maybe I'll run out Kroxa, because I'm not particularly scared of Kroxa dying. Oh, we've got just a straight Chart of Course. Okay. Okay, straight Chart of Course is definitely interesting. I think I just want to get the Blood Artist on board here rather than throwing out the Kroxa into a full hand. It looks like he's got a pretty tough decision on this discard as well. Like a really tough decision. We're going to use this for red mana. And I guess I should do that next turn, since we know we need it for red. See what the draw ends up being, of course. Muyan Ling hit the discard. So the Perforos' Intervention is nice because if he just goes for like a Thought Thief, or what is it, the Thief of Sanity next turn, then we'll have an answer for it. But for now, I think getting the Blood Artist down past the counter magic is quite nice. It's not actually like pressuring him in any meaningful way, but if I constrain him with counter magic and he ends up countering Kroxa again, that's not really that big of a deal. Ideally, I would like to play Warboss if possible. Okay, I will target you. Fatal Push, trading off for my Blood Artist. Ooh, Knight of the Ebon Legion, nice. And he's keeping up Spell Pierce here, which doesn't bother me. Is there any other blue 1-drop? Silent Departure is an instant. Or I'm sorry, it's a sorcery. So he could still have just a Spectral Sailor here, but it looks like there's a possible Spell Pierce up, which doesn't change what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get the Warboss down, I think. And yes, the Warboss is kind of jamming into a 1-2, but I think that's fine. Just having it on board and pressuring him with the 1-1 every turn, even if it doesn't do that much, is fine. Okay. We're going to see a Kefnet here. Oh, we're going to see a Hostage Taker. Which is fine by me. We have a plan for that. Unfortunately, that's all we're going to do next turn is kill this Hostage Taker. If he attacks me for 1, he's deciding whether I have removal or not. Because if he attacks me with this Knight to get in 1 point of damage and then I kill Hostage Taker, I actually get to keep the Goblin. And he made the right call there. So Fabled Passage is going to go ahead and get a Forest so I can cast this Corvold. Is there any chance I want to do anything else? No, I don't want him to have Legion Warboss, so I do have to kill this Hostage Taker. And I will do it as such. Perfect mana. And that was a smart call on his behalf to not attack with this Knight of the Ebon Legion, because doing 1 point of damage to me isn't really that big of a deal, but me keeping the Goblin on board and being able to kind of accumulate that resource would have been a pretty big deal for him. Alright, there's Confiscation Coup, which is going to get out of hand for me. I didn't think he'd bring in Confiscation Coup. It's not very good against my deck. Obviously, it's very good here. So we have a couple bets now. if I play Corvold, I have to sacrifice a land. Alternatively, I can just play Kroxa plus Skeleton, which isn't great. The Skeleton doesn't block anything particularly well. And he gets another Goblin. I feel like I kind of have to spike this a little bit with the Corvold. Or maybe I don't. Alright, well, we're going to go for the Corvold here since I don't really have too many other options. I'm going to sack this Forest. And we'll see what he has to interrupt it. I don't like the idea of losing a land and tapping out for a creature against a tempo deck that can just bounce my creature back to my hand. Like, if he goes Silent Departure here, the game's over, right? And I set myself back on mana to do this, so... Knight of the Ebon Legion can attack pretty freely. It is worth noting Corvold is immune to both Cast Down and Heartless Act right now, so he can't use the 2-mana black removal spells to kill it. He does have Bloodchief Thirst in his deck. Okay. Could just start jamming with this Knight of the Ebon Legion. Alright. Yeah, I don't think War Boss is attacking, is it? Is there anything that punishes me for blocking here? I don't think so. If he had any of these bounce things, he would have done it pre-combat. Okay. Let's go ahead and just block a 1/1 and see if this Knight gets pumped at all. Right now I'm taking 2. So now I'm taking 5. Alright, and he's keeping up mana instead of pumping again. So there's something that can add to the board here. Interesting. Alright. So I'm going to play a land. Kroxa draws another card and puts a counter on Corvold, which is pretty good. So I think I'm going to lead off with that. And he has open mana, so Supreme Will is something we could have here. I don't think he has Blink of an Eye in his hand, but maybe just 2-mana bounce spell would have been good enough. Okay. Does make Corvold bigger, which is pretty nice for us. Oh, Cast Down. Okay, cool. Yeah, Cast Down does not kill Corvold. Draw a card. Would have preferred to draw something. So, can I afford to attack here? Is the problem. I could attack, sack, reassemble, and skeleton, and then I'm defenseless, and this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, so no, I can't. Or at least I can't attack and sacrifice the skeleton. I can play reassemble skeleton and just attack with Corvold and hope that's somehow good enough. That seems unlikely to me, but I think I'm going to play this and just not attack. What if he counters the skeleton and then pumps this twice? That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd block this, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'd still be dead, so I'm going to just not attack. Okay, Spectra Cellar coming down. That's not the worst thing in the world my opponent could have had in their hand, for sure. Into Baron. Okay, Baron was kind of an insane top deck, though, so what are you going to do? Not too much I can do to get out of this situation, I don't think. I don't even block here. I just don't get ahead by blocking. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, go down to 1. Yeah, Baron, spiking Baron off the top there. I needed my opponent to not draw something like that. Not sure there's much I can do here. I can Blood for Bones to get back Skeleton, or get back Blood Artist. And then what else do I even have? I have 2 mana left. That just doesn't cut it, so. Bounce spell off the top. Unfortunate. Again, I think Confiscation Coup is like actively bad against me, so I'm a little interested in why it's in the deck, but I'm not gonna fight over it. I think I can deal with a confiscation coup. I'm on the play. Chandra's actually not bad at just making things to attack with and jamming them into my opponent. Hidden stockpile, another way to just sack. Where are these 1-drops? Alright. I think I'm going to leave the deck as is. Chandra, I think I'd rather have the War Boss than the Chandra. Although the War Boss does get confiscation couped, and it does get answered by Hostage Taker, whereas Chandra doesn't. So maybe that's a reason to have Chandra over the Legion War Boss. It's just something he can't steal. We'll try it out. And we'll go to game 3 here. He's on the draw. My hand didn't quite work out last game, I guess. I guess playing Corvold and sacking the land might have been the wrong thing to do there, but I was immediately under pressure by my own Legion War Boss, so seemed like a tough thing there. I do need to kind of curve out, though. If my opponent's going to be curving out, I kind of need to do the same. I need like my Dread Wanderers and Gutter Bones on turn 1 into one of my turn 2 Blood Artists, but we've seen the odds and ends of both games. And I do have to play kind of around a bunch of instant speed stuff, so I'm surprised Muyan Ling is still in the deck too. That card's not very good against me. Again, I don't need to necessarily attack to win. Let's play first. We've got the main colors, and we've got an okay opening hand. Turn 1 Thoughtseize would be very good against me, but I'm going to keep. And we're going to lead off with a Crypt into possibly Priest. Into a maybe Priest. Here comes turn 1 Thoughtseize. Probably. Okay. Yeah, this just takes Priest, right? My other cards don't matter too much. I guess if he's got... I could see Judith going here, actually. If one of the 3-drops goes and not the Priest, then that means my Chris probably has removal spell for the Priest. Yeah, he's going to take Judith. Yep. Concealed Courtyard, we can play that next turn. So let's drop Priest. Priest is going to die to, like, Fatal Push or something like that. God, he just had to have turn 1 Thoughtseize this game, didn't he? I mean, if he thought Erasures me, then I'm not doing so good either. Like, if he just eats my hand apart. I assume the Priest is dying. I mean, if he's got the Dream Star of turn 1 discard into turn 2 removal or discard, like, we're not winning that game very often. Now he's going to keep up some sort of counter magic. All right, well, I'm going to jam this. He's going to censor it, and then I'm going to attack for 1. Okay, yeah, he's had a extremely good start on the draw here. And this is where having, like, my Gutter Bones or something would have just been amazing. It already dealt 4 extra damage. But no such luck on this side. My hand's also just horrendous. Terramander, sure. Into Fatal Push, sure. Okay. Chandra that I can't cast. Well, this game's probably over at this point. He did miss a land drop, which is kind of the only saving grace I have here. And there's the land drop. So I don't think we're winning this game, but we'll see. Kroxa is a reasonable draw, but not a particularly good one. I'm going to fall behind way too quickly here. Unfortunately, my draw did not shape up particularly well. Here, the War Boss would have been obviously much better, although I suspect he's holding like 2-mana removal spell. The Thoughtseize just really messed this up completely. He discarded Nadir Kraken, which he couldn't have cast anyway. We're pretty far off from Kroxa. The green splash is hurting us. Our draw just very poor here against what Chris is doing currently. Can Terramander activate? No. 3, 4, 5, 6. He needs another spell in the graveyard or another land. Terramorphic Expanse. Well, that's going to go get green mana. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just fire off a spell and hope to spike a land for Terramander here. Ah, and he drew the land. Well, Still can't activate Terramander, though. Not till next turn. So do I go get green mana for Corvold, or do I go get red mana for this Kroxa? I think green. I can't actually cast the Kroxa yet anyway. Cruel Celebrant. White. I'm just going to go for Corvold here, I think. Sacking this Plains. There's no way it resolves. And then he's going to untap, activate Terramander, and just pressure me that way. I mean, I can play around Supreme Will. I can't play around Cast Down. I can't play around Heartless Act. If he's got it, he's got it. And we know he missed land drops, so he's definitely on cards. So I guess I go for the high upside play here. Cast Corvold. If it gets countered, then I'm taking 6 next turn. Running out of time. We can see a Heartless Act here. No. I don't think I need Forest in my deck for anything else. So I can sack the Forest now. I guess if he bounces Corvold. Okay, now we're going to see the Heartless Act. It's too late to deny me the card if that's what he wanted to do. Inspire and Vantage. I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to ship the turn. We're going to see like Blink of an Eye here. No. Interesting. So nothing at all. So that means he's got like sorcery speed removal. Oh, Exclusion Mage. Okay, this actually worked out better for me than it probably should have. We know he doesn't have Censor. So what else could he have on 2? He could have the Blink of an Eye. He could still have Heartless Act and Cast Down. Those are perfectly acceptable cards for him to have. Go for Kroxa and Cruel Celebrant. I could also go like Chandra plus Cruel Celebrant. Alright, let's go Kroxa first. Eat a card out of his hand here. Silent Departure, nice. That's a good one to discard. It does use his whole nother next turn, though, so I guess I'm okay with it. I wouldn't be surprised to just see Terramander here. His last card is also something relevant. Interesting. Oh, he has Blink of an Eye in his hand. Oh, Heartless Act. Sure, not casting. Okay, he has drawn extremely well. Extremely well. I think you go for Terramander here, right? I mean, you're not going to Silent Departure me. Yeah, you go for Terramander. Attack for 8. I say okay. I really need that card he drew to not be something interactive as well, although it looks like it is. Kaya. Youch. Okay, so now we have some options. I could go Acolyte plus Plague Crafter, which is pretty good, although it just kills this 1/1. It does give me some life off the Celebrant, assuming that he didn't draw something crazy. Could also play Kaya and just get rid of Terramander here. Kaya's likely to die on my next turn, but maybe we can come back from that. What could this be? Is there... Oh, he has Siren Storm Tamer as well to keep Terramander alive. So if I go Chandra, make some elementals, play Plague Crafter, sacrifice one of the elementals, I'm going to gain 2 life this turn up to 7. He can hit me for 6. But I do deal a little bit of damage to him. Kaya doesn't actually do too much. I can't replay Corvold because I sacked the Forest. So I think I'm going to go for this play. He has something he can cast, which is extremely bad for me that he drew something castable. I would say he drew above average in this game. So we're going to make these. It's like a flash creature I'm forgetting about. Brineborn Cutthroat. He didn't bring in Brineborn Cutthroat. Skydiver. I mean, I guess I'm worried about Cast Down. He could also have Spectral Sailor. Alright, well... Do I Plague Crafter first, or do I try to get in the extra point of damage? I guess Siren Stormtamer's not... Or, not Siren Stormtamer, the Flyer's not that big of a deal. 5, 6. Alright, we're going to attack. Siren Stormtamer looking pretty good here. Alright, I'm going to jam Plague Crafter, because that's all I can do now. If I sack an Elemental, yeah, I go up to 7 here. Should I sack Chandra? Ah, he drew Blink of an Eye. Oh my god. Okay, he got me. Alright, let's go ahead and pull him in and talk about how he drew extremely well. Just wanted to talk about the decks real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like you drew extremely well in that last game, for what it's worth.
I did. So what I did do is, if you go back and look at the draft log, I vacuumed up as much black removal as I could possibly get once I realized that there was not being any kind of premium placed on the blue tempo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably swapped out like 7 cards for game 3. I boarded into counter spells and removal. I got rid of a lot of my X1 threats and stuff that kind of requires me to be on top of you, and I just opted into playing a control plan.
Yeah.
Like a small ball control plan.
No, it definitely worked. I feel like you had like an almost ideal hand in game 3. Like you had the Thoughtseize plus the Censor, and it's like, well, you know, if I could stack my deck to play against somebody on the draw,
Right.
that's probably how I would have stacked it.
100%.
Like I needed you to draw some of the expensive stuff. Like I don't think Hostage Taker and Confiscation Coup are even good against my deck. I think.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think they're like
taking Judy from you is good.
Taking what?
I think taking Judith from you is good. I think
I mean, like, yeah, you can interrupt me with them, but I think the fact that I can just sack things at instant speed with a lot of my cards makes them like not. You're not stealing them that often from me. You're just making me. You're using them as like chupacabras and stuff. I think Confiscation Coup is actively bad against me. I wouldn't have brought that in if I were you, just because it's an expensive card. But I don't know. Game 2, the top deck Baron was kind of ridiculous. And then,
no, it really was.
Yeah.
Once I saw you decided to sacrifice the green source, like I was actually, as I was talking through it into my microphone, I was like, okay, well, I have Heartless Act in my hand, and I've got that for Corvald, and then you played it, and I was like, okay, well, let's just see, you know, what he sacks. And when you sack the green source, I was like, okay, well, this is just 1 more mana for Doomblade with the 2/2 body attached now, so we're just gonna wait and play that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, your deck looked really good. It definitely came together there. My third game draws were not particularly good. And
yeah,
obviously I'm playing 4 colors in my deck, so the mana hurt me a little bit. Like I boarded out Legion Warboss for Chandra because Chandra can't be stolen by like Hostage Taker and Confiscation Coup and stuff like that.
Right.
Actually can't be bounced either by like Baron and all that stuff, so it just interacts better against your deck. But and the double red really got me there too.
So I specifically brought in Confiscation Coup to deal with Immersturm Predator. because it's a 4-drop and it can't sacrifice itself.
Yeah, would have been
Um,
nice to draw that card, or any of my 1-drops. I didn't draw Gutter Bones or Dreadwander any
yeah, I
game,
noticed that.
which
I
sucks
did notice
because
that.
those add quite a bit to the deck to have those on turn 1 and just start chipping in that extra damage, but no
They
such
really
luck.
do. You know what I noticed the other night when I was trying to play? I was kind of trying to play the style, not 4-color, it was just 2-color, but I was trying to play the style and it didn't go really well. Um, I think that Scrap Heap Scrounger is at its best if you don't have the other recursive creatures in your deck.
Yeah, they're at
And
odds with each other a little bit for sure.
they are. I didn't think that they would be. But then I played the deck and I was like, everything in my graveyard can be reanimated. Like, I don't want to exile any of the stuff with Scrappy Scrounger. Eventually, I did because I was like, okay, well, when am I gonna be empty-handed and have 3 mana to cast a 2/1? Like, I'll just do this now to get a 3/2 on board.
Mm.
But yeah, I did notice that it didn't function quite as well in like the slower sacrifice version of the deck as I thought in my head that it would. Um, your deck is sick. You are correct. Like my draws were excellent. If I wasn't holding exactly instant speed bounce or removal, your last play of the game would have saved your life, and I
Yeah,
would have been in a difficult spot.
I'm not entirely sure I should have sacked the Forest to Corvold, but I figured if Corvold got dealt with, I'm probably not going to have time to cast Corvold again anyway. And even then,
Right.
like the Terramander is going to be attacking as a 5/5, so it would be a trade. So I did draw Kaya on the last turn too, but you had the Styron Storm Tamer, so I couldn't go for the Kaya plan either. I think
Yeah.
your like I said, your deck is like a horrendously bad matchup for me because you just have so much cheap interaction. But I think my draws there against most other people who aren't turn 1 thought season me would have been pretty good.
You picked up game one, right?
Yeah, Corvold got me there in game 1. Corvold looked decent, like it looked pretty good. It's just bad
Oh yeah.
against your deck when you have multiple ways to bounce it, and I never got to like my hands were not ideal by any means. I didn't get to like curve or put bodies on board and then play Corvold, so I was like sacking lands a decent number of the times, which sucks. Like
Yeah.
Dreadwander, Gutter Bones, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Reassembling Skeleton, like anything. It was like, can I get something on board before I have to play this Corvold? But
Yeah, no, yeah, understood. I mean, I boarded, especially on the draw, like I just boarded into as much. Like in my opening hand in game three, I had 1 mana flying men, and I was just like, I'm gonna thought seize
mm,
because you have a setup deck, and if you put pieces together, then I'm fucked, right? Like if you would ever put like I had to interact with Priest at one point with Hostage Taker because I knew that the next turn you were going to be able to play Croxa, sacrifice the token from Bastion of Remembrance and Croxa in response to Croxa's triggers, make me sacrifice one of my 2 creatures, draw a card, and make 2 mana, which would have possibly allowed you to play another thing. And I was just like, I have to Hostage Taker this fucking in my deck. It's a 2 mana 1/2, but
right.
like I literally have to take it right now, or his engine's gonna get rolling. So
No, yeah,
um,
the turn 1 thought is definitely the thing I was most scared of. Is I was like, well, I'm the type of deck that needs to assemble like multiple pieces, and if he just eats my hand apart and I can't get those pieces going, I'm top decking already, and that's not where I want to be. But I'm still recording, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the recording short here, and then I will
okay,
if you want to chat after that, we can.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna drop off the line. All right, so there we are. Match number 1. We're going to take our loss against Chris's deck. I think that puts Chris at 6-0, so he's a favorite right now to take this whole thing. But you saw how good his deck was against mine. You heard our conversation there. I stick with saying that the control magic cards weren't great, and it looks like he probably took out a lot of this expensive stuff and just opted for like 1 and 2 mana interaction. But we didn't have like a particularly ideal draw, I would say. Like, we didn't get these to pressure him or anything along those lines, and he did draw particularly well against us, in addition to his deck already being pretty good against us. So we're going to take our loss there, but fun match, and I'm glad to get that one out of the way because I think I'm probably a favorite to lose this game a decent amount of the time. So thanks for watching. I don't know if we're going to have a conversation with every opponent about their decks afterwards, but you can let me know whether that's something you're interested in hearing or not. And that's going to go ahead and do it for round number 1. Not sure who we're playing against next, but we will be back for round number 2. Again, my name is Timothy with Jank Diver Gaming. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe below. If you want to join our Discord community, there are links in the description below. So that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in round number 2.